just moved in here 2 weeks ago.
Gotcha. How long have you guys lived here?
I'm sorry?
How long have you lived here?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
That's why the neighbors don't know us.
Gotcha.
Like, hi, neighbor, sorry.
This morning, we're being a voice for victims. The victims in cases that haven't seen justice yet. Victims, allegedly, of Lori Vallow Daybell. Now, before the cameras were turned on, Vallow briefly appeared in a Phoenix courtroom on Tuesday, but she left when a defense motion to remove the cameras was denied. Now, she's on trial, will be going on trial rather, for the murder of her fourth husband, Charles Vallow, and the attempted murder of her former nephew-in-law, Brandon Boudreaux. Now, Vallow has already been found guilty of murdering her two youngest children, J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, and found guilty of conspiring to kill her now husband's first wife, Tammy Daybell. And Tuesday, the judge pushed back the trial date, which apparently Lori didn't want him to do. Take a listen.
The court finds that over Ms. Vallow's objection, she does not want to waive time, but it's necessary and in the interest of justice to waive time so that her attorneys can be prepared for trial.
So now our trial set to begin in February 24th, to be exact, of 2025. Now, we know that Lori Vallow has never shied away from the cameras before. So why now? Let's bring in two people who know her well. They are advocates for victims, advocates for justice in her cases, and they're her relatives we have with us. So pleased to welcome back on the show Lori's brother, Alex Cox, and her uncle, Rex Conner. And Adam, my gosh, our script, we had a scrivener's error in what I just read. I know who you are, Adam. I'm so sorry about that. Forgive me. Her other brother, as we know, Alex, your brother, is deceased. Let's talk a little bit about how things started with that hearing. What was weird to us was that she left when the motion was denied to keep the cameras out. She didn't want to be there when the cameras were rolling. And that surprised everyone in our newsroom, really, because she's never shied away from them. So Adam, tell us, what do you think may be going on now that she wouldn't want the focus on her and her case?
Well, first, good morning, Julie. Usually Rex is the one that everybody thinks is Alex, since but both of us have been called Alex before.
Oh, thanks for taking it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I feel like, Lori, in my opinion, is not in her right mind. And, maybe that, I was talking about this with other people. It'd be great if she would just admit that she did all these things, and so Charles and Brandon can get their justice by her just admitting it, and then we wouldn't have to go through all this court. But she's not in her right frame of mind, in my opinion. I think obviously she has some serious mental problems. A lot of people feel like she's in a delusion and there's some weird things. So it's odd that, because Rex and I both feel like, sometimes is she in a delusion and sometimes does she know what's going on? It's a really a gray area to be, for her to figure out what she is doing and why she is making the decisions she's making. So it's really sometimes really hard to figure out. And I don't know if it's that she doesn't want the cameras, or maybe she realizes now that, she's getting all this negative attention. I just don't know where that line goes of what delusion she's in and where she's at. So it's hard to really say.
Right, Adam. And it sounds like from all the research we've done, talking to you both, talking to everyone who knew her, it seems like, throughout her life, she's been a good person, good mother, and then something changed. Something just went haywire. And it seems that Charles was one of the first people to really identify this kind of break from reality. I've got a clip where he's on body camera footage saying that to a police officer.
What's going on? Why is she here and you're not here, or are you staying here with her?
Long story. She's had kind of a break from reality. She thinks you're LDS?
Yes.
She thinks she's married tomorrow now, in the past. This is her
You
eighth.
think she's what?
We're married to Moroni, the top of the temple.
Oh my gosh, and so he's trying to share the story with police. It seems almost unbelievable. Rex, when you look back at it now, what do you wish could have happened?
Well, it's heartbreaking, and so we all wish that we could have had a different result from the interviews. And I understand the police can't just take them at face value, but we wish it would have been handled differently as it progressed.
Right, you know, Charles, he worried about being murdered. I mean, he had this fear. This was a real fear for him, as you both know. I've got another clip. Let's look.
She's lost her mind. I don't know how else to say it. We're LDS. She thinks she's a resurrected being and a God. We're not Charles. I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you now with my powers.
Adam, when you hear that now, what does it make you think?
I mean, again, it's definitely heartbreaking because, you know, Charles confided in me. He called me. I was the only one in the family who talked to him. And we both knew that Lori had lost her mind, and we were trying to convey that to people, and nobody really wanted to, you know, because at that point she hadn't done anything, and she was portraying to be somebody, you know, lying to our family members and trying to pretend like she was this, you know, great person that goes to church and all this stuff. So it's just heartbreaking to know that, you know, you really can't do anything until somebody does something to you in the court system or in law. And that's how our law is set up. That's the way society is. So and it's heartbreaking because after this story, you know, on our podcast, we had so many people reaching out saying, you know, I had a restraining order against this person, but but nobody can do anything unless somebody actually does something. So in Charles's case, he was saying, look, Lori's saying these things. This is a threat, but until something actually happens, they can't do anything. And when that happens, you're dead. You're gone. So I know it's really hard to swallow what transpired before and then after.
It sure is. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. You and your Uncle Rex have been such great advocates for justice for all of the victims in this case. Now, going forward, is your focus on your podcast going to be largely focused on Charles, I would imagine?
Yeah, we are focusing definitely when we talk about the trial, we're definitely focusing on that. But our podcast is really going into another direction of healing, because we found out from talking about our story on our podcast that thousands of people have their own problems and want to heal from things. And so we're really focusing on how to heal, how to, you know, go forward with life with all these hard things that happen to us. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
You guys are putting so much good out into the universe now after dealing with such tragedies. Adam Cox, Adam, always great to speak with you. You're awesome. I appreciate you and Rex coming on. We lost him with the signal. Give your uncle our thanks as well. Have a wonderful 4th weekend, and we'll talk again soon. There's still more opening statements coming right up, but we want to end this segment by remembering the victim. Charles Vallow, 62 years old at the time that he was killed. And more importantly, he was a father. He was a businessman. He was someone who loved the outdoors. We hope his children, all of his loved ones and his family, get the justice that they deserve. We'll be right back.